Hello, welcome back to my channel. The Tenacious Butterfly here. Please go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit that like button and the notification bell so that you're notified every time I post a new video. So I'm here today just to share a video with you. I was a part of a virtual Pajama Jam Summit on last evening where I was asked to speak on self-care. I actually spoke along with two other young ladies. That one spoke on budgeting and credit repair, the other spoke on spiritual development. So it was an awesome time with a bunch of awesome women, and we had a pretty good turnout, but I'm sure some people were not able to make it that would have liked to, and it was such a powerful summit. So I wanted to share my portion on self-care with you here. So go ahead and take a look at that video, check it out, and I'll be back soon.
And a professional. She is a Libra and I'm trying to read this. She loves traveling, enjoys morning workouts, crafting, and loves seeing her family happy. She has struggled with putting herself first while wearing so many hats.
Self-care, physical activity, setting goals, and holding yourself accountable. So you all, let's give it up for Miss Angie. She is our first speaker for tonight. Angie?
Hello, everyone. So thank you again, everyone, for joining. Thank you so much again to Miss Sabrina and Carlika for asking me to be a part of this Pajama Summit. I'm so happy to be a part of something like this with so many great women. So I just wanted to start out by just saying thank you so much for having me here, and for all of the ladies for joining. So as they said, my name is Angie Yelder, and as many of you, I'm sure, and many other women in this world have struggled with putting ourselves first. So my goal with Tenacious Butterfly is to promote self-care and to make sure that not only women, but also young girls are being taught to put ourselves first, because it's important to teach it from a young age versus us just starting out as adults. So I have a 13-year-old daughter that I am already molding to know the importance of self-care. So as I said, I'm a family woman, mother of 2 children, 1 bonus daughter. I love crafting. I'm a professional mother, wife. My children are very active. They both are involved in nonprofit organizations as well as cheer and basketball for their schools. So of course I'm very, very busy. In addition to everything else, I am married to a now retired Navy chief, which of course over the years, he was gone a lot. So if any of you are Navy wives or know anyone that has a wife or a husband in the Navy, you know that there are lots of days where they're gone and you have to man the fort. You have to take the reins and handle everything, and it's not always easy. But like I said, I'm a professional as well. So I have a team of people that I manage in health analytics. So I manage a team of auditors, actually, and I think Miss Andrea say that she was an auditor. So I work for a health analytics company with auditors. So that's a very stressful and challenging job as well. I've always prided myself in being a super mom, super wife, super boss. I've always prided myself in that. And so being all of those things and wearing so many hats, it can take a toll on you when you're always putting everyone else first. Oftentimes I'm always pouring into someone else. I'm always pouring into my children, always pouring into my team, pouring into my husband, always putting everyone else's feelings or needs ahead of my own. So doing that, I actually realized that I was sad. I was functioning, but I was sad. I was sad because everyone else and everything else came before me, when that wasn't always how I operated. It's just what I became. Because again, I wanted to be the super mom. I wanted to be the super boss, the super wife, right? And I think all of us do. You know, we always want to make sure that everyone around us is okay. That's just kind of one of our traits as women. We want to be able to nurture all of the people around us, make sure they're okay. And we oftentimes just put ourselves on the back burner. So I'm sure that sounds familiar to many of you ladies on the panel. I know all of you are busy women from what I'm hearing. So that is kind of what brought me to wanting to go down this journey of self-care. And then also wanting to promote that, because I had to take a step back in my life and realize you're important. You matter, and you have to do what it takes for you to be happy. Can everyone hear me? Is everything coming through? Okay, so you have to do everything. You have to do what it takes for you to be happy. I ended up getting sick, and that was even a even bigger wake up call for me. So I ventured out. I started traveling more with my friends and family. I started hanging out a little bit more with my friends, you know, just doing brunches or just hanging out and having people over and just trying to nurture all of my relationships and really take the time to put me first. Small things that I used to do, and this may sound so simple, but taking a shower and lotioning my entire body down when I got out of the shower, just taking time to do something that small, I'd stop doing that. I would get out of the shower, get in my pajamas, and go straight to bed. And just small things like that, I realized, okay, you're losing yourself, because people would laugh. My sisters would laugh at me. They'd say, oh, she's not going to go anywhere without doing this, or oh, she's not going to not do this. And, you know, they joked about it. But then I found myself not doing all of those things. So I wanted to take a moment and just talk about all of the different types of self-care, and then you can figure out as we're speaking how that relates to your life. So first, let's talk about emotional self-care. Okay, so emotional self-care is activities that help you connect, process, and reflect on a full range of emotions. And some examples of emotional self-care can be seeing a therapist. So I know that there are sometimes, you know, negative stigmas around, you know, therapists and counselors. I personally do see a therapist typically once a month. And I think it's very helpful when you can have that neutral party to speak to. They can give you a lot of different perspectives than not always the circle around you of your friends and your family. So I definitely encourage that if it's an option for you. I definitely encourage that. Another example is writing in a journal. I know throughout I've journaled for years, so I know there are many different things that has happened in my life that has pushed me to my journal. So, you know, one is grief, losing my father. The only place that I felt safe speaking my true thoughts were in my journal. You know, there were things that I felt that I should have did or could have did that I didn't do. I had to write that in my journal. So writing in a journal is very therapeutic. You know, I am a manager, so a lot of things at work are very stressful. So I'm always, you know, trying to manage work stress. So again, my journal, I can always come home, write in my journal about what happened today, what piece of that was positive, what piece was negative, and how I could turn that negative into a positive. So making sure that you're holding yourself accountable for turning situations around is so important, and writing in your journal can help you with that. Because also another benefit of journaling is as you're writing your negatives or your positives, you can go back and reflect on those. So if you're having a bad day, you reflect to one of those days you were having a great day. That will lift your spirit. Trust me, I've done it several times. And then also, if you have been going through a lot of different trials and tribulations, you can refer back to that and you can actually see your own growth. Another example is creating art or playing music. So I think for everybody, music is therapeutic. I don't care really who you are. what your background is. If someone turns on some good music, I think everybody can feel that. So the next type of self-care is practical self-care. And practical self-care is tasks you complete that fulfill core aspects of your life in order to prevent future stressful situations. And some examples of practical self-care is creating a budget, taking professional development courses. I know at a lot of our jobs, or many jobs, they have free courses online that you can actually take. So I encourage you all to register for those classes and take those classes, especially if they're free to you. Also, YouTube is a very useful tool. Another example is organization. So of course, we all know that when we're organized, we feel better. We're at peace. We feel a whole lot better when things are organized. So that's another example of practical. Another mode of self-care is your physical self-care. And so that is activities you do to improve well-being of your physical health. Some examples of that, and we oftentimes do this, we don't stop and take a break at work. So I encourage you that if you're sitting at a desk all day, that you take your 15-minute break or on your lunch break and walk around the building. If the weather doesn't permit, I encourage you to walk around in the office, take you, 1 or 2 trips up and down the stairs, get in some type of physical health. Also, your sleep is important as it relates to physical health. Make sure that you're getting adequate amount of sleep each night. And then also staying hydrated. We need to put the sodas down, the juices down. We need to hydrate ourselves. So that's also important to physical health. Physical health is probably my top mode of self-care. And I say that because it correlates with emotional, mental, it correlates with a lot of other forms of self-care. And I'll touch on that in a little bit more. But also another mode is mental self-care. Mental self-care is an activity that stimulates your mind and or your intellect, okay? So reading books is a good example. Doing puzzles, games, playing games, anything that's going to stimulate your mind. For me, crafting is another mode of mental self-care because I'm having to really focus and I really get in my zone when I'm crafting and thinking and trying to create something different or something new. Another form of self-care is social self-care. Okay, so that's going to be activities that nurture or deepen your relationships with the people around you. So it's also important to make sure that you are spending time with your friends, your family. Schedule those brunches or schedule those get-togethers. It's very important. If you're away from your family and your friends, get away from being so techy and let's put the phones down and call people. No texting. I say let's call people or even video chatting. And
you
that
have not entered any numbers. Please re-enter.
Okay, and so I've learned that even more on this self-quarantine or distancing, social distancing. My family is in Alabama and we text, sometimes we call, but we've been video chatting a lot. And it just does my heart so well to see their smiling faces and also for them to see my smiling faces. So I think we need to incorporate that into our everyday life and get so much away from the texting. And then lastly, spiritual self-care. So that's activities that nurture your spirit and allows you to think bigger than yourself. Okay. And then also some examples of spiritual self-care, and it's not always as it relates to religion or being religious. Some examples are meditation, and I heard one of the ladies say that she meditates. I can't remember, I think Miss Donna, but also yoga is very helpful. Going to worship, your place of worship, which we're all now, I think, virtually doing worship. So, and then someone said that they're doing drive-in service for Easter. I'm not participating in drive-in service, but I am virtually attending. Also, it's just being with nature. So if you enjoy nature, take your hikes, go out and just enjoy the outdoor. So those are a lot different types of self-care. So I think Sometimes people, when they think self-care, they think bubble baths, massages, facials, things of that nature, and that is not all that self-care is about. It's a whole array of different things. So now that I've kind of talked about the different types of self-care, I'm hoping that each one of you has heard that and kind of honed in on the type of self-care that you probably feel is a need for you right now. I don't know if we have time for like a Q&A, but if we do, I would like to ask a couple of the ladies, maybe 2 or 3 ladies, if you could just kind of tell me if there is one that stuck out more to you and why.
Yes, we have time for that. So, ladies, if you all can hear, definitely 2 or 3 ladies, one at a time, unmute yourself. And Angie was asking, what self-care category has, maybe you even need to balance it out some more. But Angie, repeat your question again.
So the question is just, so from emotional, practical, physical, mental, social, and spiritual, which mode of self-care do you feel you need to have at the top of your list and focus on more, and why?
For me, it's spiritual, and it's really learning how to meditate. Because I'd be so busy all the time, I don't really know how to slow my mind down and stop thinking about so much stuff.
And it is definitely hard to make your kind of shut all of those background noises out and to just kind of slow down. But definitely now during this self-quarantine, I think everyone has had some time to truly slow down. Now the question is, how do we continue that after this is over? Right? So that's the most important thing, is making sure that you prioritize that, because now how important it is to you. So we want to make sure that now that we know the importance of it, that after all of this is over, we make it a priority. So just like we schedule meetings for everything else, we schedule time for everything else, it's important that we also schedule time and put yourself on your calendar. Anyone else?
It's Donna. For me, it's practical, and I guess when I was introducing myself, I'm kind of already on that, but I will put that on the top of my list of self-care, the budget, the professional, just organizing, and I'm sure after that is done, I'll move on to another one. But for me, it would be practical, and that's the one that stood out the most.
Well, that's great. Absolutely. So again, like I said, I know we just think, I think it's been just kind of in our heads for a while. Like, when you think self-care, like I said, you think it's always, just relaxing but it's so much more to it than that. And I had to learn that as well. And I had to figure out how to hone in on each area in some way, shape, form, or fashion. So I'll move on real quick because I don't want to take up too much time. But so now I say, I'm sure many of us are mothers. If we're not mothers, we're just professional women from what I've heard with everyone joining. How do I do this? And like I was just speaking to the other young lady just a moment ago, now the way that you do that is you make sure you have conversations with the people in your family. So that's one thing that I did. I sat my husband and my children down and I said, I matter. I am going to start to put me first, and I need you to be on board. Okay, so my husband and my children, they understand that if my cup is empty, there's nothing left for me to pour into them. So they're all on board with me filling my own cup. So make sure you're having the conversations with your family. They will respect it. They will get on board. Trust me. They will. My husband calls me now. Oh, he's like, Tenacious Butterfly is doing this, or Tenacious Butterfly. And he makes a joke about it. And it's funny to me, but he knows when I'm working out or when I'm doing something, they just let me have my time because I'm happier. I have more to give them when that happens. And then also another question women would ask is, I have small children. How do I make time? A lot of women feel like they don't have time. You have time. We scroll on Facebook, I know, 30 minutes a day throughout the entire day. And like I was saying before, you have to put yourself on your own calendar. You have to make yourself a priority. So I say if you have small children and you're trying to figure out how to incorporate that self-care time in, if you want to simply dance in the shower at night, that may be therapeutic for you. If you want to do a facial or, whatever it is, I like to light my candle, have my glass of wine, and write in my journal. They don't bother me. I have my moment. But, if you have small children, try putting them to bed maybe 15 minutes earlier to get you, if it's nothing but 15 minutes. Or if you have toddler age children, maybe give them a puzzle or something that they can do while you take your 15 or 20 minutes. If you have older children, have your older children give them baths so you can have that 15 or 20 minutes that you need. Find ways. And then another thing is we're oftentimes afraid to ask for help. I'm living here in Jacksonville where I don't have family, and that has been me. But people truly don't mind sometimes. We simply just have to ask. So I say if you have family or friends in your area, ask for help. People don't mind sometimes. If it's just once a week, if you're in a situation where it can only be once a week that you can get someone to truly help you and you can't manage it within the household, don't be afraid to ask for help. So that is what I say when people say I don't have time or how do I do it or how do I fit it in. We have to figure it out. If you have questions, inbox me, DM me. I'll help you come up with a plan to give yourself 15 or 20 minutes. I do it every single day. I think it's important. If you can fit that 15, 20 minutes in every day, it's very important that you do that. If you can only do it weekly, fit it in somehow. Put yourself on the calendar. Have your alarm go off every night at 8:30. Take that time to do your skincare routine. Close the bathroom door. Turn on your music. It's so important. I'm telling you, it makes a tremendous difference in your mood, your attitude. I'm definitely happier because of it. I'm more pleasant because of it. And I encourage each and every one of you to do the same thing in your busy, very, very busy lives. I know all of you are so busy. So I'm going to wrap up. I know we started a little bit late, Carlika, so I'm going to wrap up by, just asking each and every one of you to take a moment and follow me on my social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at TheTenaciousButterfly. On all of those platforms, it's at TheTenaciousButterfly. I actually just finished doing a 7 days of self-care with The Tenacious Butterfly that I posted just to give people different ideas and tips that they could do while they're at home on the self-quarantine. Always posting, motivation. I oftentimes post my workouts on my stories as well. So if you're interested in becoming active, I encourage you to try to do that at home, right at home. I don't have a gym membership. I'm very active. I work out probably 4 or 5 days a week. And so I encourage you all to do that. Also, if you can subscribe to my blog, you can head to my website, which is www.TheTenaciousButterfly.com as well. And then take a look at my journals and my Me First teas as well. And I always want to encourage everyone to never forget to put you first. Thank you so much for listening today, ladies. Carlika?
Amazing. Amazing. So, ladies, priority. Thank you, Angie. Thank you. So, look, I know we all could use some more balance and taking care of us. We do all of the things, and with Rona taking over right now, doing whatever she's doing, probably cooking even a little bit more, probably been running to the store a little bit more, and we're still wishing for a little bit more time. But like Angie said, take a few minutes for yourself. Self-care is not getting your nails done. Self-care is not getting your hair done. Those are maintenance things.
Exactly.
Okay, we get these things maintenance. And we might be struggling with these nails right now because it has been snatched away from us, but that's maintenance. So look, Take care of yourselves. Angie, in the chat, put contact information of how we can definitely stay in contact with you. Put it in the chat, and everyone go ahead and stuff out. Tenacious, yeah. But take care of yourself. I see you working out every day. You all look, all the gyms are closed, so guess what? We still have no excuse. We have no excuse where we can't do something. So Angie, thank you for saying yes. We appreciate you taking time to share your expertise and taking care of yourself. So ladies, in the chat, I want you to put I am priority in the chat.
Absolutely.
In the chat room, put I am priority, and that's your affirmation. And you know what? From this day forward, I'm going to either step up my self-care routine or I'm going to start it.
Absolutely.
So this is how we hold each other accountable. We're holding each other accountable even virtually. Yes, I am family. It's God and then me.
So thanks so much for watching. Now that you've had a chance to review that video and listen at the different types of self-care, just as I asked the women on the Zoom call, which type sticks out to you most? Which type do you feel that you need to have at the top of your list? So go ahead and start your journal, set priorities, be intentional, and make yourself a priority. The Tenacious Butterfly here, reminding you, don't forget to put you first. Bye, and thanks for watching.